Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WPLS, working right now on a show called Open for BronxNet. Our next guest is a lawyer and author of the book, Cardiac Arrest. It's a tactical guide on how to handle unlawful police stops. And he'll give us some insight on how members of the Black and Brown community can better manage police encounters. So please welcome to the show, Royce Russell, Esquire. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Bob. Thank you.
All right, now you've been doing this for some time. I think the book came out in 2018, right? And since then, a lot went on. What can you tell us about? Go ahead.
I said, that is correct. Yes. So, practicing in this area for over 2 decades, I thought it was time that not only do we protect ourselves as we, walk through America, because this is not a Bronx issue, this is not a New York issue, this is an American issue. I have went on to write this book, or Tactical Guide, Cardiac Arrest, How to Handle Unlawful Police Stops, to protect and empower the Black and Brown community on what they should do when they are encountered by police and what they should be looking for, and how they can seek some type of redress by way of filing a complaint or filing a lawsuit in the future. And so since that time, in 2018, not only have we written the book in Spanish, in English, we have it translated in Spanish as well. Mm-hmm. And we have then moved on to develop a workbook. And I'm more than happy to talk about that and the social justice agenda and curriculum that we're trying to provide today.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot has went on since the book first came out. And I know you're going around, you're talking, you're speaking at different places. What do you tell people? Because a lot of people have those questions, and a lot of parents are trying to teach their children who are of driving age what to do.
Well, one of the things that I do is I like to approach it from an academic standpoint, right? And I think that sets the platform for us to be proactive as opposed to reactive, and not let emotions get the best. And so what do I mean by that? When someone knows that it's going to rain, they prepare for it raining. They bring an umbrella. They might bring rubber shoes. They might wear a raincoat. When someone is trying to go to college, they have to prepare for the SATs. They take prep courses to prepare for that standardized test. When they go on an interview for a job, they create a resume and they do practice interviews before the actual interview. When we talk about growing up from being an adolescent or a young adult or a child into adolescence, we talk about the birds and the bees. This is no different. This is a conversation that has to be had, and it has to go beyond a conversation. It actually has to be a curriculum, because we are done with the days of civics, right? There's no more civics in education. There's no more who's the first president and who's the 45th president, although we might want to forget who was the 45th president, right? We don't have those courses as it stands now. And so what I have gathered to do by way of the book, Cardiac Arrest, a tactical guide on how to handle unlawful police stops, and the workbook, is to attack it from an academic standpoint. You have to do more than just have a conversation. You have to create scenarios where kids, adults, because it is not only kids, you and I know that we could get in a car right now and be a victim of an unlawful stop. It's not an issue of, is it going to happen? It's an issue of when it's going to happen. And so by having a social justice curriculum, you're able to create conversation and create appropriate approaches to manage the encounter.
And what does that dialogue sound like?
So the dialogue sounds like this. For instance, there's a chapter within the workbook, and I'm just gonna show this just for the camera's sake, right? That's the Cardiac Arrest workbook, right? And so, just bear with me for a moment. If we look at chapter 3, for instance, what we do is we create a scenario. We first teach you, what is the First Amendment right? First Amendment right is the right to free speech, right? What is the Fifth Amendment right? A right to have counsel. What is the Fourth Amendment right? The Fourth Amendment right to protect you from unreasonable search and seizures. So you have that definition. Well, what does that definition mean in real life? Well, then we go, as we see in many books, even as far back as the Old Testament to the New Testament, that you create a parable, you create a story that surround those concepts. And then you ask questions as to which one was invoked. So for instance, when we talk about the amendments in the Constitution, we create a scenario where a fictional person named Ed is stopped by the police. And the police immediately then searches their bag, immediately tells them to be quiet. And then from that scenario, we ask questions, well, what rights did the police violate by immediately searching Ed's bag without having any probable cause or reasonable suspicion? And we hope that the answer is, well, they violated the Fourth Amendment right. Well, now you know that from an academic standpoint. Now you can take that to practical life. When you are stopped and someone is, well, police officers will give me your bag and they go into your pocket. Now you know that that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right.
So, but when they ask you for that, are you supposed to give that to them? Or if they ask you to step out of the car, are you supposed to get out of the car?
Well, I mean, every fact scenario is different. If they're citing you for running a red light or your tail light being broken, well, that is a violation, a traffic violation. So within the workbook, within the social justice curriculum, we kind of cite to those incidents that says, well, this is a citation. This is a ticket. There should be no getting out of the car. What is the reason for getting out of the car? That is probably illegal. That is probably violating your constitutional rights. But you need to know that, and you need to recognize that. And by having a social justice curriculum and having a cardiac arrest workbook helps you go through a scenario that you see academically, you can now apply it, practically, and you know it when you see it. It is as simple as, listening to the weatherman and having an umbrella ready for the next day. It is going through a curriculum and understanding, here's a scenario, and this is what I need to do.
I was trying to explain that to somebody. We were having like a little discussion, and they told me I was living in a bubble because I'm a celebrity and I'm not going to get pulled over. I said, are you kidding me? But no, there are situations where you're right. Everybody gets pulled over, and you have to know what to do, get the knowledge of what to do, what to say, how to be. But there are situations, say it again.
And I would say not only in a driving scenario, there may be an argument that's taking place in your house and someone calls the police, a neighbor calls the police, right? Because I don't want one to think that, oh, well, this tactical guide is just for driving. No, it's for almost every scenario that you could think of. Walking down the block, in the mall, a neighbor calls the police to your house. Can the police automatically enter your home without a search warrant, without your consent? What you can and cannot do around them, I think we have to understand that this issue of law enforcement and communication with the Black and brown community is not going to resolve itself, and we can't rely on law enforcement to resolve it. They need to do their part.
Yeah,
but we can't
rely on them education around across the whole board, across the board.
Exactly. Education across the whole board.
Yeah. That's good. So have you ever been stopped? Because what propelled you to write this book?
Well, Bob, I'm a native from the Bronx, right? And so you probably can't find too many people of color that grew up in the Bronx that haven't been stopped by the police at some point, right? And whether that is as a young teenager or an adult, I can cite at least two different scenarios. One where I was in a cab. Back then, you can imagine how long ago that was, cabs, right? So let's change it to an Uber, right? and the Uber was stopped. Yeah. Well, the Uber was stopped. So that means there's conversation. The conversation should take place between the police that stopped the Uber. There should be no conversation that involves me. Right. And so it is the social justice curriculum that turns the light bulb in your head that says, wait a minute, that might be chapter 5, that might be chapter 8. We stop for a traffic stop. Well, I'm not driving. So whatever conversation,
I'm not involved. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Whatever conversation that happens is happening between the police and the driver. And so here's a teachable moment. One, you should be aware of that. So therefore, you're not a part of it. Two, don't interject yourself as being a part of it. Don't say, oh, well, you only stopping this car because I'm black or I'm in it. No.
Yeah.
Stopping the car for whatever reason they're stopping the car, it has nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, you should be asking for the courtesy of police officer. Hey, police officer John Doe, can you call me another Uber? Can you flag down another cab? Because this has nothing to do with me. And we know that there are people that get that courtesy, whether they fall on a higher end of the social economic bracket or whether they don't look like us, they get that courtesy. And so therefore, you should be looking at that. You should be looking for that courtesy. You should actually be playing chess instead of checkers. And don't fall into the prey of engaging when the stop is not about you.
Yeah. Hey, counsel, where can we go to get, because we can talk about this for hours. Where can we go to get more information on this whole thing? Check out the book, the workbook, and to find out more of what people should do upon being stopped, or whether they're in the house or being out in the community or on the subway or whatever. Where can they get more information?
You can always follow me at cardiacarrestbook.net. You can always follow me on Facebook, R2. You can always purchase the book at Amazon. You can purchase the book at cardiacarrestbook.net. And I'm always around doing workshops. I hope that this becomes the norm and not the exception when we look at that raising our children in the academic arena, for which not only do you have enrichment from the algebra and the English that you take, but you have cultural enrichment. So I'm here to serve, and you can always find me at roycerussellesq.com.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for your service, Royce. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right. Royce Russell, Esquire, author, Cardiac Arrest, a tactical guide to how to handle unlawful police stops. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the book and the workbook also. Bobby C is up next. He has the latest in the world of sports coming up on Open.